This video is sponsored by Phoenix Pharos cards. If you need supplies of singles or splits for Cardfight Vanguard, especially the ones in the video, do check out Phoenix Pharos cards today, and as a bonus, use the promo code MetaNerd to get an amazing 5% discount. And with that being said, let's get on with the video. Greetings YouTube, welcome back to the MetaNerd channel. I am Marcus, bringing you another video for Cardfight Vanguard Willdress. In this video, we will be going through the Unica mask, surprise surprise, that was introduced in DBT10. Of course, it's first revealed in the anime episode, and I will assume that the latest episode also introduced a new mask. I just haven't seen it yet. In this video, we will be going through the mask unit that Unica actually gets. Also, it has come to my knowledge that Unica isn't exactly the name of this unit, it's some other stuff. Without further ado, let's take a look at what the mask unit actually does for Unica. First off, we have Xeno Almajestar Astroea Bico Masques. Yeah, so the name is actually Astroea. Continuous, this card can only be written from a grade 3 with Astroea in its card name. Second to active Vanguard circle once per turn. Cost, remove a card with Astroea in its different card name from this unit from hand, soul, or drop. Choose one of your opponent's rearguard and retire it, and this unit gets a drive +1. Third skill, auto Vanguard circle when this unit attacks. Cost counter blast 1, soul blast 3. Bind all of the critical triggers, soul blast for this cost. Choose one of your rearguard, stand it, and that unit and this unit gets 5k power until the end of turn for every 2 critical triggers in your bind zone. I guess all mass unit will not be able to run in the right deck because it will be kind of broken. The difference between the regular Astroea with this mass unit is that you no longer have the critical pressure of the Vanguard. I mean, you still get to retire and the triple drive, but you don't really have the critical trigger. In exchange for that critical trigger, you basically could make a 4th attack with this boss unit, which I guess it's pretty much a really nice trade-off, because on the third turn, you definitely will want to attack with Astroea first to get the crit pressure to force out some shield values, and during your personal right turn, presumably if you do personal right with this card, you want to make more attacks instead of having just the 3 attacks, which I guess it does flow really well with what the deck wants to do. So instead of, you know, a trigger based on how many critical triggers in the bind zone, you actually automatically retire as well as gain a drive. So you no longer need to soul blast 3 in order to get those skills, but you do need to remove Astroea, which will tend to eat up some deck space, because, you know, you need to run the regular Astroea and then you need to run mass unit, and not to mention you need to run some Dragontree units as well as some other stuff that you might need for the consistency of this deck. You don't really need to run the Dragontree. I mean, it's optional. You don't necessarily have to, but it is an option. This mass unit has a similar cost to the normal Astroea because it's Counter Blast 1 and Soul Blast 3, whereas the normal Astroea does only cost Soul Blast 3. But then both Astroea are doing significantly different things, because the normal Astroea will need to base on how many critical triggers in the bind zone in order to retire one, gain a drive, and a crit. But for this girl here, that cost is basically just for you to restand a rearguard, as well as giving Astroea herself and the restand rearguard 5k for every 2 critical triggers. So in the best case scenario, I mean, technically not really a best case scenario, if you have 8 critical triggers in the bind zone, Astroea Masques as well as the restanded rearguard will be getting a 20k power, which is really huge. But considering the fact that you actually lost the critical pressure, it's, you know, it's not really that great. And since we do have the limit of 8 criticals, your Vanguard is definitely going to attack for 1 damage only. So it's something to, you know, think about when you want to go for the kill turn. But it's very rare that you get 8 criticals in the bind zone anyway, so I guess that's that. But I think this is a significant power up to the normal Astroea, because the normal Astroea is doing really disgusting already, but this one is just adding on top to the design of what Astroea wants to do in order to kill the opponent. So let's take a look at what other support cards that Astroea does receive in this set. The first one, of course, is without a doubt going to be the Dragontree, because I think all of the nations will be getting a Dragontree if they, of course, have the mass unit. Dragontree Ren Skull Chemdah. Although when this unit is placed on rearguard circle, cost Counter Blast 1 and Soul Blast 1. Choose one of your rearguards without any Dragontree markers and put a Dragontree marker. Search your deck for up to 1 mass of Hydra Grum. Reveal it and put it into your hand and shuffle your deck. I mean, this is basically like the same skill that we see from Stoicheia, you know, the Zorga Mass grade 2. It's exactly the same skill, where you just call it out to get a Dragontree marker as well as get the mass order, which will definitely help with your personal writing. All nations will probably get this one. It's just whether or not which mass unit are they gonna give. There's really nothing much to talk about this other than, you know, him being a marker generator, a mass of Hydrogram consistency. It depends on what your deck wants to do, because this card isn't exactly spammable inside dark states, because unlike Stoicheia, they can recall the Dragontree from the drop zone over and over again. For dark states, we most likely will only get like 1 or 2 units off, and not to mention the cost is quite heavy, so that's that. So at this point in time, I'm thinking probably you'll want to run 1 or 2 mass of Hydrogram, but you could run 1, but you run the risk of, you know, damage checking into it or soul charge into it. So that's something to think about. Although if you do soul charge the order card, it's not going to be a problem, because you do have stuff that actually soul blast out, and then you can just activate the mass order skill. So 1 or 2, I guess it's okay. At least for now, depends on what the mass unit actually does. So that's it for the grade 2. Next, we have Giffords Ketos. Active rearguard. If you have a Vanguard with Almajestar in its card name, retire this unit, choose up to 2 critical triggers from your bind zone and put them into your soul. I mean, this is basically like the one card that helps you recycle your critical triggers from the bind zone. Currently, we do not have anything that could basically just fetch back the critical triggers from the bind zone to the soul, which will then activate probably the regular Astroea skill instead of mass. The mass doesn't really care. The mass wants those critical trigger into the bind zone. But then again, if you find yourself running out of soul, I guess this card is not too bad. And also, since Falkid Performer is a thing, this card can be recycled from Falkid Performer skill, provided if you soul blast any grade 1 away from the soul, and then you can just Superior Call him out with the grade 1 Dragontree unit, which is actually not that bad, although you are minusing 3 soul at once. So I mean, it's still quite a small price to be paid, judging from the fact that we do have Astroea or Unica do have stuff that basically help replenish the soul really quickly. So it's not too bad of a combo here, but there's still the question of, is it going to be worth it to run this kind of combo inside an already really packed deck? So that's up to you guys to figure that out. Next, we have a order card, Cage of Evil Star. Soul charge 1, choose a grade 3 or less card from your soul, call it the rearguard circle, and it gets 5k power until the end of turn. I mean, this is basically free calling anything from the soul. It's a generic card. All of dark states can use this. It's not bad. The 5k power boost is just icing on the cake. It's really good. And not to mention, you don't really minus the soul as much, since it does soul charge 1 at the very start of the activation. It's very nice, and it might just give you that 1 key pieces that you might lack to do your full combo turn. So it's a very nice tag in card. It's a nice to have support card for dark states. If you are playing dark states, I do recommend picking this up. Even if you do not play it right now, who knows, in the future this card might just be really good. I mean, anything that calls from soul is really good. Next up, we have Twin Marvel Dragon. Auto rearguard once per turn. When you soul blast 3 or more cards at the same time for the cost of your Vanguard ability, look at the top of card of your deck, put it on top of the deck or into the soul, and this unit gets 2k power until the end of turn. So this card is a perfect synergy with Drudgewald, Unica, as well as Violent Bruise, if you guys are still playing Violent Bruise, that is. It's a 10k booster that lets you know what is on top of your deck. You get to choose whether or not you place it on top of the deck or gain 1 soul from this unit skill. And the most important thing about this card is that he is free. He doesn't cost a counter blast, he doesn't cost a soul blast. You just need to soul blast 3 from a Vanguard skill, and then you can just check the top deck, which will increase the likelihood of you checking triggers, but still, it still depends on what your top deck is. And, you know, even if your top deck is not a trigger, you can just put it into the soul and, you know, hopefully you get a trigger next. It's a very nice card, and, you know, possibly one of the best one for these 3 right decks. The other right line doesn't really soul blast that much. I mean, from the Vanguard skill, they don't really soul blast. Kind of sad. Anyways, moving on. Next, we have the Triple R, Black Sky Thunder Quaking Queen Leimina. Although when this card is discarded from hand during a right phase, cast Soul Blast 1 and put this card on the bottom of your deck and draw a card. Second skill auto, when this unit is placed on Rearguard Circle from hand, if you press no right this turn, cast Counter Blast 1, choose a card from your soul and call it to Rearguard Circle. If you call a card, you may Soul Charge 1. This is an excellent card to be discarded for getting a draw. You basically just discard this card, you pay 1 Soul Blast to get another another draw, which is really good in most of the right lines at the moment. The only question here is, what do you want to replace for this kind of skill? That's the big question. You probably will need to sacrifice some of your key pieces for this kind of utility, although I don't think that's going to be the case. Depends on what your deck wants to do. Now, since this card will only activate during your personal right turn, it does actually encourage you to discard it during the early game before your personal right, since you do get a drawback, which is definitely nice. And she does not really go to the drop zone, so she just go back to the deck, which is very nice. Does helps with hand filter. Calling anything from the soul is always good in dark states, because most of the time we're just gonna soul charge our stuff anyways. So you can do some shenanigans by using Falcon Performer to move certain units into the soul and then just call by calling this card out from the soul. You can always just call things back out from the soul with this card. It's just that good. And what's more, you don't actually lose the soul count, since it does, once again, it does soul charge 1. Very nice card to be played. And I think this card might just be one of the more expensive ones, since all of the right lines actually could use this. So one of the honorable mentions that combos well with this card is actually Greedent, since by using Bubetsu's skill, you actually call stuff from your hand. If you have her in your hand and you do personal right, you can actually call something out from the soul without needing to rely on Muka, which does cost you 2 soul, and you need to call 1 rigor, which in turn minus 3 from the soul count. It's quite a combo. And that is all for this video. Do let me know down in the comment section of what do you think of the whole Astroea, as well as the generic support that we will be getting for dark states. Do like and subscribe if you like this video, and of course during the bell notification icon so that you don't miss a video I upload. With that being said, I'll see you all on the field.
Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go.